Good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's session. Thank you for being with us on a Thursday. I'm Clarice Lau with JLL International Residential Singapore, who will be your host this evening. As part of our new JL series of Facebook webinar, today we will be introducing Hamburg, the second largest city in Germany after Berlin and a major port city in northern Germany. We will be talking about Hamburg's residential market and what opportunities this city brings to you. Joining us today is Serkan Goldman with JLL Residential Germany and Sanjay Anand with JLL International Residential Malaysia. Hello, Serkan and Sanjay. How are you today?
Thank you very much. Thanks for having us over here. It's morning in Berlin, so I will say good morning from Berlin to everybody over here. And today I'm more than happy to present you the Hamburg residential market by giving you a little bit of update about, in general, the German premium residential market and focusing on a fantastic project called Roots in Hafen City. So thanks very much and looking forward to it.
Thank you, Clarice. Hi, Serkan. Hi, viewers. I'm Sanjay, the International Residential Consultant for JL Malaysia. And today I'll be facilitating the FAQ section between Serkan and me. Back to you, Clarice.
Thank you, Sanjay. Now, before diving into the agenda for the evening, allow me to first introduce you to our JLL International Residential Services in Malaysia and Singapore. So, JLL International Residential focus in sale of overseas residential developments from key global cities, and of course, Germany being one of them. We understand the many challenges faced by our overseas property buyers and investors, such as understanding regulation and policies of the local market, purchasing procedure, tax understanding, and financing availability are some of the many questions buyers face. So as a market leader, we provide a dedicated one-stop solution service to these challenges, from consultancy to support services such as lettings and management, fittings, and resale to ensure a smooth experience for you. Next, I would like to hand the floor to Serkan to talk about why invest in Germany and a deep look into Hamburg residential market featuring our latest project Roots. Serkan, over to you.
Thank you. So I would like to start with brief information about why Germany first, and then I'll be focusing on the Hamburg residential markets. Actually, Germany has the highest GDP and the largest population in Europe, and it has the largest residential buy-to-let investment market in Europe. It's a safe and stable haven for global capital, and it's highly developed economic and political legislation to protect the investors. Germany is one of the top 3 global exporters alongside China and the US. And Germany has approximately 1.9 million affordable housing shortage in the country. So Germany has performed significantly in the past. Germany had always 4 cities in the PwC and ULI reports in emerging trends in real estate in the European Union. And today we will be focusing on its largest port, shipping and trade center, Hamburg. So Hamburg is Germany's largest port and is the 3rd largest port in Europe. It's Germany's largest commercial center as well. It's an international trading hub. It's the 2nd largest city after Berlin in terms of population. And Hamburg is the free and the Hanseatic city. So you can see in the map where Hamburg is located in the north part of Germany with its access to the world by the ports and the Elbe River. And as I have mentioned before, Germany, it's the 2nd most populated city in Germany with 1.8 million inhabitants. But if you look at the metropolitan region, it has more than 5 million inhabitants around. And it's the 7th largest city in the European Union. Besides being a big city, it's a wealthy city. It has the highest GRP per capita of the German states, which is approximately 67,000 euro per capita. That's a very high number. And also, it's a beautiful city in terms of the quality of living, in terms of the surroundings. It has more bridges than Venice, by the way, and it's ranked 19 in 2019 Mercer's Quality of Living Survey. So it's a trading hub. It's one of the world's most important logistic hubs. So whatever comes to Germany and goes outside to Germany is actually from Hamburg. and it is the third lowest ranked unemployed city in Germany. So we are talking about a very high-end city. It's a city of trade, but besides being the city of trade and commerce, it's actually the city of media, education, and the musical scene. So it has the best connections in terms of transportation. You can have a direct flight to New York or to London or to Singapore from Hamburg airport, so it's very well connected to the international hubs. And also by being a cultural and tourist metropolis, it actually accommodates 45 theaters, 60 museums, and it's used to welcome 220 cruise arrivals before the pandemic, and we hope that this will go back to its normal when the pandemic is over. Education and research, it has one of the best universities in the country. It has got 22 universities and 98,000 students, and it has a lot of universities in terms of commerce, trading, and so on. And besides its educational systems, it has, of course, the top employers like Airbus, Lufthansa, Otto Group, Nestle, Vattenfall is the water company of Germany, Philips, Google, and so on. Spiegel and Die Zeit is an important group. These are the big media conglomerates, which is actually a big group. So whatever you read in Germany, most of them are coming from this group. So it's located over here. And I would say it has a booming real estate market. Why? First of all, its home ownership rate is one of the lowest in Europe. It has 21% home ownership ratio, which means 79% of the city is either occupied by the tenants or the landlords. And the current vacancy rate is very low due to the high demand. It's 0.5%. It means that the 99.5% of the city is occupied. It's very difficult to find an apartment over there, which leads to very high capital appreciations. We've seen 17.5% approximately in 2019. We've seen more than 7-8% last year in Hamburg during the pandemic times, and we're expecting these numbers to rise in the future due to the organic demand. And one of the things that we would like to mention here is today we're going to talk about a project in Hafen City, and in this region you will never find anything less than 9,139 euros per square meter due to the high demand, and it's a new district. It's an urban development project, so we'll be focusing on a project in Hafen City today. The rental yields are lower than the capital appreciations, of course, because whoever moves in doesn't want to move out. So we are seeing low increases in the rent, but actually the rents are increasing highly in the new apartments. And there is 7,000 apartments needed annually every year until 2030. So we have a high demand over here. The supply side is weak due to the unavailability of plots inside the city center, the high regulation, and so on. Here is Hafen City. This is a map of Hamburg. Hafen City is just very close to the old city. This is the new district, which have been started to create in 1997 and will be completed in 2030. So this is an urban mixed quartier with residential, office, education, retail, gastronomy, and hotel areas. It's just in the port. As you can see over here in the map, this is the Hafen City project. It's everything started with the LB Philharmonic part in 1997, which is one of the biggest theater and musical scenes in the world. And now this island is continuing to be developed, and there's going to be the highest tower developed in this region in Germany when it's going to be completed. And this red dot is where our project is located, just in front of the waterfront location. So Hafen City is one of the largest inner city urban mixed-use development project in Europe. And by 2030, up to 14,000 people are expected to live here, and 45,000 jobs will be created within this area. And this is a very nice bird's eye picture which shows you the whole Hafen City project, starting with the LB Philharmonic, which is on the bottom left corner, this black and brick building. This is a musical theatrical scene, but it also has apartments. And actually in January, it broke all records in Germany. A 300 square meter apartment was sold for 39,000 euros per square meter. And this place is actually gaining a lot of capital gain and developing a lot. A lot of universities are being under development. A lot of residential projects are under development or completed. A lot of commercial spaces will be coming in terms of office, retail area, museums, and so on. So there is our project, Roots, just in the middle of the Hafen city, very well located, very well connected in terms of transportation as well. And if you're lazy like me, you can be in the old city centers in 20-25 minutes by walk. And in our next slide, we'll be focusing on this project. This is a wonderful waterfront project with 128 residential properties and 97 underparking spaces. Half of the project is one room, and the other half is in different variables like 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, and the penthouses. The average prices are 10,900 euro per square meter, and I would say you should be quick because it's selling very fast. It has a price advantage. I believe that you will never find a product in the market in this quality. As a high-rise hybrid building, it's going to be the tallest hybrid building in terms of wood and concrete mix. And it's a design project, very well located, so the prices are very fair. And as I mentioned in the previous slides, in this area, 9,000 is the average price for normal apartments. So in our next slide, I will be also mentioning about how safe is this investment, because from the day that you buy or from the day that you will be reserving, you will know how much rent you will be getting to a third-party service provider called Urban Ground, which gives you approximately 2 to 4% rental yield per annual, according to the unit that you are buying it. So you have a rental guarantee in this project as well, besides the wonderful design and the location. And in our next slide, you can see that we have the amenities such as concierge, yoga room. In the entry of the building, there will be 2 floors, which is rented by the German Wildlife Foundation, which will be giving workshops to the kids and to the public how the wildlife should be protected, how the wildlife actually circles. And this is going to be a kind of a museum and exhibition center with a cafe, retail center, and so on. So it's a fantastic mix. And in here, you can see more briefly that our apartments are starting from the 3rd floor and going higher. And the completion date will be the first quarter of 2024, with having a 1-year buffer in terms of something urgent happens if COVID continues and the world goes worse, but which I don't think so, because we have a better situation now. Vaccination is in hand, and we're getting day by day in a more normal life, I would say, in Germany. So in here, you will be also seeing in our next slide that we have a guaranteed rental yield with 100% occupancy. So you have a company as your tenant, which you will be maximizing your rental income and eliminating your operation costs, which means the tenant will be paying the expenses. And that's why I call it a very safe investment. I call it the safest bank of Europe. You put your money, you get minimum 7-8% capital appreciation, and you get 3% interest rate before tax in average. So plus you have this beautiful view, beautiful project, providing you a high quality of life by engaging you in a sustainable environment, which is the new hype of Hamburg, the world's 3rd largest exporter and the biggest port. So Roots is special because it's a unique high-rise building. It has guaranteed rental yields. It's a privilege offering a new quality of life. It's Europe's largest inner urban development project as Hafen City, and this is located inside Hafen City, and it's unique, unparalleled waterfront location. As I said, it's a perfect investment tool, or it's a perfect place to live. In both ways, it satisfies all of our investors. And that's why I would recommend you to contact your local agents or us so that you don't miss the opportunities. And that's why I'll be answering more the questions from Sanjay's part if you have any questions for me. And I hope I gave you a short, brief summary before I bored everybody. But believe me, if I could accommodate you in Hamburg, it would be much more fun to present you on one-to-one. So Sanjay, I'm looking forward to answer the questions meanwhile I was presenting.
Thank you, Serkan. It was a real pleasure to have you speak on Hamburg. The project roots, especially, beautiful design. I love the woodwork. That was some fantastic insights into Germany. And I'm sure our viewers would be taking notes on quite a number of factors you brought up throughout the presentation. Over to our FAQ section, Serkan will be answering a few questions from our valued clients who are looking to purchase into routes, Hamburg, or even throughout Germany. Serkan, bear with me. You may have answered a few of these questions already in your presentation, but I would like to go a little bit more in depth into a few of the things that you've mentioned. So, first question, what is the buying and renting process like in Hamburg, and what are the costs involved?
In Germany, the buying procedure is actually the same. The only thing that differentiates is actually the acquisition tax or the stamp duty tax, whatever you call. In Berlin, this tax is 6%. In Frankfurt, it's 6% of the purchase price. Meanwhile, in Hamburg, it's 4.5%, because this is more a capitalist city. It wants to welcome the international capital to the city, because this is the only port, and we are talking about EU's strongest economy, probably world's one of the biggest economy. It's in top 5, and this is the only port city, the big port city. So the buying procedure is, first of all, you have to choose a project, then you have to choose a unit. Once you choose what you want to buy, then you sign a reservation form with us, pay €1,000 reservation fee, and that's where the journey starts. After that, we recommend a legal consultancy firm to you, because most of the communication and the writings are in German. And second of all, they report you all the procedure. I consider it as an insurance, because you're in a foreign country which you don't know the law, so they will be taking care of the contract on behalf of you when you appoint them a power of attorney. And afterwards, that they will be also in this period your communication office. All the paperwork, all the invoices will be sent to this lawyer firm, and actually they will be getting in touch with you. Why? Germany is very classical. We still send letters, and sometimes it's get lost, and we don't want that to happen. It could cause some casualties in terms of financial damage, because it's highly regulated. That's why you go engage with a lawyer, and then you have to decide if you're going to use finance or if you're going to buy it with your own equity. If you're going to use finance, then we engage you with a finance consultant so that they check if you're credible. If you're credible, then they give you the finance, the proof of the funds, so that your legal consultant, legal advisors can arrange this within the purchase contract. And once you give the green light to your lawyers, they make the purchase on behalf of you, and then the invoices start to come as a cost to you, such as the acquisition cost, which is 4.5% of the purchase price. Then you have approximately 1.5% going to 2%, the notary fees, because the purchase contract is signed in a notary. This is your fixed cost. And if you are getting a legal consultant, you have to pay 1% plus the VAT, which is 1.19% in total. That are your site costs. So we are talking about 7.5% to 8% in total site costs on top of your purchase price.
Fantastic.
I hope I'd be able to answer your question.
Absolutely, you did. And I think a lot of our viewers will be taking notes on that. Going on to the second question, in regard to the potential rental yield, you did mention it, but could you please mention it again? And also talk about the capital growth in residential new builds, in routes, or even in Hamburg. That's it.
So if we look at the rental yield, actually there are service companies which are approaching to us once we start to promote a project, because due to the unavailability of apartments in Germany. So in every city, there are big service providers which actually we engage with from the beginning of the project. So once our international buyers make their investments, they have no question marks in their heads in terms of return. So these third-party service providers actually become your tenant. They rent the apartment from you the day that you buy the apartments, and they give you a draft contract before you make the purchase, which means that you see the conditions, you see the amount of the money that you will be receiving for your unit, and they will be subletting these units after they rent out from you. So in this situation, you don't have an occupancy problem because it's 100% occupied. You don't have an operating cost problem because this company will be renting your unit and the tenant will be paying the site costs like maintenance costs, household costs and stuff like that. And on top of it, you don't have to deal with the tenant because whatever happens, they are in communication with the tenant, the subtenant I would mean, because they're liable for your unit. So whatever happens, you can actually get from your tenant, which is urban center in this urban ground in this project, I'm sorry. And they are a decent company that we worked in some other projects as well. So they will be paying you approximately 3% yield. Let's say if you buy a 1 million euro apartment, you'll be getting 30,000 euro per year before tax, and then you have to pay income tax. And the good part about that, as I said, you don't have any question marks. You know, your tenant, the rental contract is there, so everything is on check. And your second question was about
capital growth for residential new builds in Hamburg.
In Germany, we don't have basic answers. It's always in deep. That's why it's safe. So I'm, just changing from one question to the other one. So if we look at to the capital gain, every city has a different performance. Hamburg is one of the best performer of Germany. It was always in top 10, as I said, according to PwC and ULI Institute, emerging trends in real estate in EU. Because, as I said, Germany is a very strong country in terms of economy. And it's the third biggest exported beside US and China. And this is the city where all the trade and the commerce is done, basically. So we've seen in the past capital appreciations going up to 18%, but I have never seen less than 7-8% during the last, I would say, 8-10 years. And we're expecting the prices to increase due to the organic demand and due to the business in the city, because this city has everything. It's a commerce center, it's a trade center, it's a musical scene, artist scene, you know. Besides that, it's a sports scene, because Hamburg also hosts German Open tennis tournaments in Rothbau Stadium. I don't know if you have any intention to tennis, but I love it. So the city is very colorful, you know. I like it's a water city, and it's fantastic. So it's a good performer. It's actually a very good performer in my opinion. And as you know, I don't only sell Germany, I sell UK, I sell Portugal as well. All of these countries are performers, but Hamburg is special, I would say, yeah.
I can understand that. Okay. I know you mentioned this earlier about the occupancy rates, but I would like you to bring it up again and talk about the occupancy rates and why is it so low in Hamburg and throughout Germany, really?
Well, the thing is, I think it's also related with Germany's settlement. Germany is a country which has approximately 85 million population, and only 15% of the population is living in big cities. And these big cities are old cities. There is like lack of availability of plots or available spaces to build up new construction. So in the suburbs, like where the 85% of the population is living, they have everything because the infrastructure is very well settled down. They have hospitals, they have police stations, they have fireworks stations, they have universities. So 15% is settled in the 7 big metropoles. And I would say that these cities have increased their population in the last 10 years a lot. This is also related with the history of Germany, because in 1989, before 1899, the country was divided into two, like to east and to west. And after 89, the country was reunited again. Then the trade and the business started to accumulate. It built its infrastructure from the beginning. So a lot of things happened then, and it became international cities, these cities, and people started to move to these cities from the outbound capitals, from the other international hubs, because of business purposes or family purposes or any other thing, or arts purposes. So there's a lot of demand. There's a lack of availability of places. And Germany is highly regulated. They have to build like 350,000 apartments a year. There's a program in order to fulfill the shortage of the housing problem in the country. But due to the high regulation and lack of availability of the plots, they can never reach this number. The closest they got, I think, was 290,000, either the last year or the year before.
Fantastic. So I think, as you mentioned, the organic growth is just too strong.
Yeah.
Fantastic. In regards to getting a loan for an international buyer, can they get a loan in Germany? And if so, what are the current loan to value ratios and the interest rates that can be provided?
Of course, every foreigner can actually buy an apartment and become a house owner in Germany, unless they're coming from some countries which there's an international embargo or sanctions, if they're in a war or if something international happened. So if we look at the foreigners buying in Germany, there's a high interest. Germany is one of the top 3 markets in terms of investments. So a lot of people last year invested to Germany from different capital markets. And residential is one of the most preferred asset class. That's why I would say the banks are supporting the international buyers, but because it's highly regulated, they're slow. They usually, the general practice is 50% LTV. Of course, the foreigners are seen more riskier than the locals, because the locals are taxpayers and they are making their income, so they can pledge their income in Germany, or if you're coming from Europe, it can be pledged in case something goes wrong. So this can go up to 70% as well. It all depends on the property, if how much the property is bringing back in return. But every property that we have sold until now paid itself when you paid the 50% LTV. And I would say this can go up to 70%, because the primary income is the apartment and the rent. The secondary income is your personal income. So if you have a property in EU, or if you are making a Swiss franc, euro, or US dollars currency income, it's different. If you are placed and tax paying in EU, it's different. But I would say from the Asia Pacific, we have financed a lot of our investors with minimum 50% LTV, and we've had them in general interest rates in between 2.8% going to 3.2%. This could be lower, but it was never higher. So it all depends on individual cases. And the good part is that we engage you with a financial broker as GLL. They don't charge you, even if your credit goes through. They were paid by the banks. So you can submit them everything. Of course, there's the data protection laws in Germany very highly. So you're protected. They cannot share except anybody else except the bank. And you can check if you are capable of getting a finance, and then proceed once you get the finance.
Wonderful. I know a lot of our viewers actually would be wondering about the question. So I think that was really good that you gave them a really good answer.
Yes.
Just final 2 questions. So in terms of the property taxes in Germany, would it make a difference if our clients were to purchase a property as an individual or as a company?
It depends actually on their strategy. So if a person is just buying for personal reasons, let's say, for their kid who's studying in Germany, or they're diversifying their risk in some other country besides their own portfolio, or if they have a business connection with Germany and they're traveling, and so on. But if you're thinking this game as a multi-unit buyer, and if you want to do this as a side business or a business, which means that you are going to buy and sell more than 3 units, that's like the break-even point, then we would advise you to establish a limited liable company. But if you are buying 1-2 apartments as a savings or as a pension plan for your kids or for yourself, then we would advise you to proceed on individual basis, because there's a lot of deductibles as well, such as the interest rate. There's a depreciation of 2% in Germany by law. So actually you pay less tax than what is shown on the papers. And what's shown on the papers is that the tax rates can differentiate from 14% going up to 42% of the income. But in order to achieve that, you must be having really high income in Germany, which is good for you. That means you are making a lot of money. Then you have to, of course, establish a company in order to have a fixed trade tax and commerce tax, which is much more complicated. But in these cases, we advise you to get in touch with us, so we can also walk through your strategies and advise you what to do, and then take an action.
Fantastic, Serkan. Okay, final question for you. In terms of the bedroom types, is there any popular choices when it comes to routes? And are people looking for bigger units right now?
Yes and no. So the most sold units, like I've seen during my experience, is the 1-bedroom units. And I've seen now during the pandemic, these people needed an extra room. If you're a couple, you need an extra space. Or if you're a small kid, you need an extra room for them. So yes, they are expanding it, but it all also depends if they can afford it. Germany is different. You know, the German mentality is different. But if you look to the international buyers, they are definitely going 50% for 2-bedroom and 50% for 1-bedroom due to their equities or finance and so on. So if you can afford it, I would suggest you to buy a 2-bedroom apartment, because this project is not only for investment purpose, it's also, like, there are a lot of people from my clients who bought, I would say 50-60% actually, most of my clients bought for own use because they love the property. They are either based in Hamburg, or they have a business with Hamburg because they are international businessmen, you know, doing international business. So I would say 2-bedroom is a very, very demanded unit at the moment. And more than 3 bedrooms are not a general practice unless you have intent to buy a penthouse, but this is a different category. Yeah.
Fantastic. Serkan, thank you again for your insights. And it was a real pleasure to have you here today.
Thank you very much. And if your investors have any questions, I would be more than happy to consult them on one-to-one video calls, chats, so we can go into deeper in the project to choose their unit or to answer their questions, to engage them with finance brokers, legal advisors, and so on. That would be my absolute pleasure. So let us know how we can help you.
Brilliant. I'll pass it back to Clarice.
Thank you, Sanjay and Serkan. That was a really comprehensive and a good round of questions and answers. To our viewers, I hope you find it insightful to make your next residential investment purchase. If you would like to explore roots development further, you have heard it, my colleague Serkan is available for a one-to-one consultation via a virtual call appointment all the way from Germany. And we can also engage mortgage and legal advice to assist you in making an informed decision. So do reach out to our sales consultants to arrange our international residential contacts are showing on your screen now, or direct message us on Facebook to assist you further. We are always happy to help. With that, we end our Facebook webinar for this evening. Thank you for joining us, and I wish you a pleasant evening. See you again in our next Facebook webinar series. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thank you.